You didn't roar, you whispered, but the walls cracked from the inside out. You moved with such quiet conviction they thought you quit. You could have lashed out, could have thrown words like fists, could have burned bridges with a single glare, but you didn't. You just stared, smiled faintly, and walked away, while the world watched, confused by your calm. They mistook your silence for surrender. They called you weak, soft, and passive. They laughed, patted themselves on the back on a win they never truly earned. But you saw it for what it was, a celebration over nothing, a hollow victory. Let them mock, let them revel. Every betrayal, every rumor, every quiet stab in the back, you turned it all into momentum, not from fragility, but from a cold, calculated strength. You didn't react, not because you weren't hurt, but because you already saw the ending. While they fed their pride, you rose silently, steadily, untouched, unshaken, undeniable. That's not just restraint, that's domination without lifting a single finger. What they failed to see is that silence is a double-edged sword, capable of disarming an opponent or delivering a message louder than words ever could. That, your silence, wasn't surrender. It was a trigger click, the trap set while they danced blindly. They laughed at your stillness, not knowing it was the prelude to a storm. Now the lights flicker, the ground quakes, and they're caught off guard, exactly as you knew they would be. Before we continue, take a moment to support the channel, like this video, share it, and subscribe to continue your journey of self-mastery and wisdom. I'm grateful to everyone who has walked this journey with me. Now, let's dive in. That step you took wasn't just a move, it was strategy, warfare disguised as stillness. You let them believe they'd won, let them relax in false comfort. Because real warfare isn't fought in chaos, it unfolds in silence. They crave noise, drama, volume, anything they can read, anticipate, or control. But you gave them silence. No reactions, no tells. And that unnerved them. They couldn't decode the pause. You didn't behave the way they'd expected, and in that moment, you became the unknown. You became chaos in their minds. They start creating monsters from shadows. Your silence wasn't absence, it was evolution. You weren't chasing validation, you were chasing outcomes. Let them call you unstable. Because when the storm hits, when the earth splits beneath their ego, it will be too late. Let them whisper in confusion. You were never their prey. You were the architect of your rise. You didn't move to be seen, you moved to be remembered. And nothing haunts the mind more than a figure in the dark. Because when your final move hits, they'll realize the spotlight was never meant for you. You were always behind the curtain, pulling strings in silence. They mistook your stillness for surrender. They poked at your pride, stepped on your name, and waited for you to snap. But you weren't frozen. You were rewriting the narrative quietly, methodically. That's the strength of your silence, not in how quickly you act, but in how long you hold, with precision and patience. War doesn't unfold in loud bursts. It plays out in slow motion, frame by frame. They wanted fire and fury. You gave them shadows and strategy. You let them get comfortable. That was the trap. You let them equate your patience with weakness. Let them laugh while you mapped out your future. Every delay was discipline, every pause a lesson in power. So stay still, stay silent. Let them swing wildly into the dark. While they're caught in noise, you're rising in clarity. You watched their foundations crack, not from your force, but from the pressure of their own ego collapsing inward. You knew you'd already won the moment you chose not to engage. A lion doesn't chase flies. A storm doesn't respond to whispers. And now you've become what they fear most: untouchable, unreadable, unled. When you stopped explaining yourself, when you stopped needing approval, everything shifted. That's when eyes widened. That's when they started to fear. When you're loud, they prepare. But when you're silent, they panic. Let them squirm in your silence. Let them question everything. Let them wonder if the version of you they used to know ever really existed. Silence holds a power they'll never recognize until it's far too late. You don't need to declare your strength or chase validation. No grand gestures, no spotlight, no noise. Just a presence so potent it lingers long after you've disappeared. That's the true echo of silence. It doesn't knock. It moves quietly through the chaos, unseen, but it leaves behind a chill no one can quite explain. Starve their curiosity. Guard your peace like a locked vault, its key known only to you. Because when they can't figure you out, they grow uneasy. When they can't find you, they feel your presence even more. And when you've learned to vanish in plain sight, calm in the center of the storm, that's when you stop being reachable. That's when you become untouchable. They thought they were smart, mocking your silence, dismissing your pain, ridiculing your ideas. But what they never realized is that behind closed doors, you weren't waiting, you were healing, you were growing. Every insult they threw became a mirror, exposing their insecurities. And you turned every act of humiliation into quiet strength, a weapon they'll never be able to trace. Growth became your silent revenge, the kind they never saw coming. Your success spoke louder than any comeback. And now? They're uncomfortable with the version of you that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't break. Because you stopped setting yourself on fire just to keep cowards warm. You learned the difference between compassion and self-destruction. You tried, you reached, you gave. But they let you drown in the weight they refused to carry, so you cut the rope. Not out of hate, but out of self-respect. They'll say you changed, and they'll whisper. Let them. You're no longer the healer, you're the boundary. And boundaries don't apologize, they protect. You still care, you still feel deeply, but you no longer carry what was never yours to hold. You didn't harden, you just stopped offering yourself to those who never understood your value. This isn't about revenge or playing games, it's clarity. You're simply giving them what they gave you. Nothing. And the way you moved? That was the click of the trigger.